Today on Review This Thing, we're going to review this thing, the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro. This is Robbie.
And this is Adrian with Review This Thing. If you've seen many of our videos, especially all the ones we did back in January about those pistols, you know that we absolutely love red dots. Robbie and I have both had red dots on our turkey guns for several years.
Well, this year we've been trying out a few different ones. After reviewing the Leupold DeltaPoint Micro we had on my Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus, we wanted to give this Leupold DeltaPoint Pro a try. We've used it on a couple of different pistols. We've done a lot of pattern testing, and I killed a turkey with it a couple weeks ago. So we're ready to tell you what we think. Let's review this thing.
As always on Review This Thing, we're going to cover the facts. The first part is fit. So basically the question is, will the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro fit on your gun? From our research, we found that the DeltaPoint Pro uses a Shield RMS platform. So if your gun uses that platform or has multiple adapters, then it definitely should fit. Before we put it on this gun, we had it on a Glock 19 Gen 5 MOS, which comes with several different adapters, and we had no trouble getting it to fit there either.
Then we moved it from the Glock to this Mossberg SA-28 tactical turkey shotgun. If you've seen our video from a few weeks ago in Colorado, this is the setup I used to kill my turkey. The SA-28 comes with this rail. To mount it, we used the DeltaPoint Pro cross-slot scope mount adapter and just screwed it right onto this rail. Now, if your gun doesn't have a rail, or you just really want the red dot a little bit further in the front, you have the option of using a Meadow Creek mounts. So there's basically a few different options for mounting the DeltaPoint Pro to a shotgun or a pistol or an AR, which we haven't done yet. But all of the ones that we've used have fit great.
So overall, we would say as long as you know what platform you want to use and order your adapters accordingly, you shouldn't have any trouble getting it to fit. So because of that, we're going to give fit a 5 out of 5. Now is the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro as advertised. The first thing they advertise is that it is lightweight and versatile. The DeltaPoint Pro is just under 2 inches long, 1.3 inches wide, and sits 1.3 inches tall, and weighs right at 2 ounces. So it's definitely lightweight and compact. As far as being versatile, we've talked about being able to mount it on a pistol, AR, or a shotgun. And the versatility is also based on the next thing they advertise, which is it has a 2.5 MOA red dot with 8 levels of brightness adjustment. Because of that, you should be able to use this red dot in really bright conditions and still be able to see it, but then also in low light conditions, not completely wash out your sight picture.
The next thing they advertise is that changing the battery doesn't mess up zero. So the main reason this works is because the battery compartment is on top. You don't have to actually remove the sight to change the battery. We've tested this out by taking the battery out and putting it back in, and they had no issues. But while we're on this, let's talk about battery life. It uses a CR2032. And Leupold claims it has 1,600 hours if you're using it on low or 300 hours on high. We've been using it on various guns for several months now, and we haven't had any issues. But we haven't been able to test out how accurate that timeline is because of the next thing they advertise, which is motion sensor technology. Basically, after 5 minutes of no movement, this thing shuts off. But it doesn't shut completely off because all it takes is a little bit of shake to wake it right back up.
I actually had this happen to me just a couple weeks ago while I was turkey hunting with it. It started flashing, which kind of freaked me out because I thought it was telling me the battery was going to die. It did shut off, but then with just a little bit of movement, it came right back on.
The last thing they advertised is rapid target engagement. Because of this larger viewing window and the easy to find red dot, I think it makes target acquisition really easy. I also have no difficulty keeping both eyes open and using this red dot, which really keeps me aware of my environment. So the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro lines up really good with what they say. So we're going to give, as advertised, a 5 out of 5.
Now into construction and durability. As with all Leupold products, this is designed, machined, and assembled in the USA, which we absolutely love, and it has a lifetime guarantee. The DeltaPoint Pro is made from aircraft aluminum, which is one of the ways they say they're able to keep it so strong but so lightweight.
They claim it's also waterproof and fog-proof. We've had it out shooting and hunting in all kinds of different environments and haven't had any trouble with that as of yet. But we also haven't had it in full all-out rain yet. We did have it in some pretty cold temperatures and a couple foggy mornings, and it didn't fog up. So far it's doing great for us. Another part of construction that we really like is that it has 1 MOA clicking adjustments. The clicking adjustment is really cool because when you're zeroing it, that lets you know just how far you're going.
Now that we've covered that, I do want to talk on a few things we've discussed that we would change about this red dot. One thing that I've liked about some other red dots I've had is they have automatic brightness adjustment based on the ambient light. So all I had to do was just turn it on and never mess with it again.
There were a couple of times in Colorado where I had the brightness adjusted way high for an afternoon, and then the next morning, lower light conditions, and that brightness almost washed the entire picture out.
Now, obviously, if you are hunting turkeys, it's not a huge deal because you're usually set up and have a couple seconds to make adjustments. Where this could be more of an issue, I think, is if you have it on an everyday carry weapon and you've been shooting at the range and have it all the way up, and then you go to need it in darker conditions and you can't really see your target. Hopefully that wouldn't happen, but just something to think about. Another thing I've noticed with this red dot that I think is pretty standard with most is when it's really sunny out, there is a very obvious red glare to me in the viewing window. Basically, it's just where the sun is reflecting off of everything, including the coatings that are there. You can still see the dot, so you can still put it on your target, but just get used to having that red glare there. And I just put my hand over the top and it got rid of it completely. So as far as construction, it might be helpful if the hood on it was a little bit larger just to block more of that light. But the main thing we would change is the brightness adjustment. To change the brightness, the button is right on top of the battery compartment, which is between the emitter and the glass. So to change it, you have to reach up over, click it, move your hand so you can see the red dot, click it, move your hand. So to get it to the brightness you want, you're basically moving your hand quite a bit. We think it would be a little bit better design if the buttons to control the brightness were on the side of it. That way you can just reach up with your thumb or your finger while your hand is already there, make those adjustments with very little movement.
As far as durability, and we've said this before, we aren't really great at torture testing things because we try to take care of most of our stuff. I can say with normal everyday use, like taking my pistol in and out of the holster, carrying it around in the turkey woods, putting it in and out of the horse scabbard, as well as flying with it, we haven't had any issues as far as durability. And for more peace of mind, Leupold has a lifetime guarantee on all of their products. Overall, we've been really pleased with this red dot, but because of the few things that we would change, we're going to give construction and durability a 4.2 out of 5.
Now on to testimonials and reviews. We were actually able to find quite a few reviews on this, which is always nice, and most of them were very high with a lot of positive things to say. On the Leupold's website, most of the negative reviews were older, from like 2017, 2019, and they were about it not holding zero and about it just not working when they got it. I didn't find a ton of those that were in the past year or two, so hopefully that means they fixed that problem.
And we haven't had any issues with either of those.
A couple of other complaints that people had are things we've talked about. People don't like that the adjustment for the brightness is on top of the battery compartment, and they also say that it should have a bigger sunshade.
Another person complained that the red dot is fuzzy.
I have noticed on the last couple of brightness settings that at those high levels, it seems blurry to me, but on the lower ones, it's pretty clear.
So pretty much every red dot is a little bit fuzzy to me. Apparently it's because I have an astigmatism. I just thought it was normal, but evidently there's some of you people out there that actually see a dot instead of a bunch of fuzz.
Well, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna tell you the score we found. So for testimonials and reviews, the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro gets a 4.8 out of 5.
And finally, should I buy this thing? You know what we're gonna say, it depends on what you're looking for. I'll start off by saying the MSRP is right around $450, which is actually really comparable to other red dots, but is more expensive than others we've used and reviewed. It was really easy to mount, and it appears to be very well built and rugged. Don't forget, it's made in America and has a lifetime guarantee as well.
But because of those few things that we mentioned about construction and durability, we are gonna take some off. Some of those things I have seen in less expensive red dots, so it seems like some of that could be done for this price that you're gonna pay. Because of that, we're gonna give Should I Buy This Thing a 4.3 out of 5. Hey, thanks for watching our Leupold DeltaPoint Pro review video. While you're here, watch a whole bunch of other videos, give them a thumbs up, share them with your friends, comment and let us know what you think. Also, check our website out, reviewthisthingtv.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and on TikTok.